Black excellence is an endangered species in our community. We got hip-hop excellence. We got dancing excellence. We got weave and perm excellence. We got Air Jordan excellence. Harriet Tubman had no money and gave us a farm, a hospital, an elderly home. We $2 trillion, and you ain't got an institution to call your own. Dr. King gave you the right to vote, and he gave you the right not to be discriminated against in public accommodations. That's it. Show me the speech where Dr. King said, give up your black schools. Show me the speech where Dr. King said, give up your black hospitals. Show me the speech where Dr. King said, give up your black banks and supermarkets and communities. He never said that. In fact, he defended the right for us to have our own institution. And the question I always ask you all, how is your child going to catch up to the other children? Running slower. Special ed puts the brakes on the pace of progress. It doesn't speed it up. It doesn't speed it up. So why every time your child begins to struggle with math, you go looking for an IEP? Every time your child struggles with comprehension, you go looking for an evaluation. Every time your daughter has an issue with mathematics or algebra, oh, it must be a learning disability. No, it's not. It's a lazy disability. Your black children at Antioch, they're lazy. And so are you. Because if you were not lazy, there's no way they could pick up the bad habit. You know, I had a black mother who took me to task on that. She said, Dr. Umar, you're absolutely wrong calling the learning disability a lazy disability. I said, why do you say that, good sister? She said, because my grandmother was in special ed. My father was in special ed. I was in special ed. My daughter was in special ed. My grandson is in special ed now. Special education runs in my family. I said, sweetheart, African people are the oldest people on the planet Earth. Special education is only 50 years old. There's no way in hell something a white man discovered last night runs in your family. And then I went on to tell her, good sister, let me tell you what runs in your family. See, your great-grandmother didn't check your great-grandfather's homework. And your grandfather didn't check your father's homework. And your daddy didn't check your homework. And you didn't check your daughter's homework. And your daughter doesn't check your grandson's homework. So it's not special ed runs in the family. Poor parenting runs in your family. That's what you got. And some of you suffer from intergenerational poor parenting. And I'm not here to crucify you. I'm here to say you can change it. Show me a failing child, I'll show you a failing home. Children can't drop out of school until you drop out of their lives. If I was in charge of special ed in America, we would never ever diagnose another child. We would diagnose their parents. And many of your children come to school without any interest in achieving anyway. Black excellence is an endangered species in our community. We got hip-hop excellence. We got dancing excellence. We got weave and perm excellence. We got Air Jordan excellence. Where's the academic excellence? I submit to you tonight, Antioch brothers and sisters, that we are responsible for the crime in Antioch. The black community is responsible for the crime in our community. And I'm going to tell you why. We're breeding criminals, and I'm going to tell you how we breed them. We raise our black children on a diet of conspicuous consumption and European materialism. You raise your child to believe if you ain't got Balenciaga, you're not as good as the others. If you ain't got Air Jordans, you're not worth as much as those who do. You raise your daughters, if you ain't got that weave or that perm or that pocketbook, you less than. And we don't raise them just on any old merchandise. We raise them on the most expensive things white people make. So here's where you are breeding the criminal. To tell a child you need Nikes on your feet. To tell a child you need Louis Vuitton and Gucci and Balenciaga. To tell a child that this is what you need to be a success. You got to drive a Mercedes, a BMW. You got to live here. You got to shop here. You got to eat here. To tell a child this is what it means to be a success. And not raise that child with the discipline they need to be in a position to earn those things legally. See how this works? You tell them this is what you need to be somebody, but I'm not going to train you, teach you, condition you, equip you with the self-discipline to be able to earn it legally. So that leaves them with no choice but to do what? Go out, kill, steal, and rob. Because mom and daddy said, I need this, but they never taught me how to work hard enough to get it. We are breeding the damn criminals. Let us be clear. The mother of all crime is miseducation. The father of all crime is economic castration. Crime is the son. The mother is poor academics, and the father is no economic opportunities. And what's sad is, Antioch, as small as we are, in this community, 20%, there's still enough money in that 20% for us to teach our kids ourselves. There's enough money in that 20% for you black men to organize a rites of passage program for our boys. There's enough money in that 20% for you black women to come together and spend some time with our daughters. You know, black girls 14 to 17 are now the fastest growing suicide group in America. I'm going to say that one more time. Black girls 14 to 17 post-COVID are the fastest growing suicide risk in the country. You want to know why? Because when they was home for COVID, they had to deal with the molestation without a break by going to school. When they was home with the COVID, they had to deal with the emotional abuse from their mothers without the break they normally got by going to school. When they was home during COVID, they were parentified by their mothers and fathers, forced to take care of their younger brothers and sisters, sometimes because that's just the way it had to be. But the stress of being a young black girl with the sex abuse and the emotional abuse and the parental abandonment and everything else that comes with that has our daughters overdosing on pills and risks. I know because I work with them. I was in a high school in West Philadelphia some time ago where we found a young lady in the bathroom cut her wrists because her boyfriend left her. I want all you fathers to know something in here. If you find out that your daughter gets pregnant by one of the young men here in Antioch, I don't want you to go trying to put your hands on that young man. I want you to look in the mirror. Teenage pregnancy is the result of a father not investing in his daughter's emotional development. Absentee dads breed teenage pregnancy. Now, Pastor, I don't know where you got these cutouts, but you have to let me know, sir, because I need some for the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. Get a pastor a hand. I need some of these. And you know, it's funny because when we talk about the Honorable Frederick Douglass, who I'm related to by blood, my 4 times great-grandfather, and he grew up together in Talbot County, Eastern Shore, Maryland. But when we talk about Frederick, everybody's quick to point out, Dr. Umar, you don't support the snow bunny crisis, but didn't your cousin marry a white woman? And it's very true. Frederick Douglass did marry a white woman as an old man. And I don't have a problem with you holding him accountable for that because he should have never done it. However, his first wife was a blue, black, purple chocolate woman named Anna Murray Douglass. Give her credit. Put some respect on that black woman's name. She's the one who helped him run away from slavery. She's the one who came up with the scam to get him out of the slave chain. She's the one who raised those 5 children when he was on the road fighting for our freedom. It was that black woman, Anna Murray Douglass, who ran the Underground Railroad in Rochester, New York when he was not home. Put some respect on that black woman's name. And then I think of this woman over here. If you have never been to the Queen Mother Harriet Tubman gravesite in Auburn, New York, you make sure you go. Take a trip. Pastor, if you ever decide to do a church trip up there, you let me know. I'll meet you guys up for the tour. Where Harriet Tubman was buried at, y'all, there's a tree coming out the ground behind her tombstone. You can't tell me her spirit not in the tree. Right behind the tombstone, the biggest tree you can see. I know that's her spirit in there. This black woman who ran away from slavery to freedom, one county away from where Cousin Fred ran, 1849, right before they passed the Fugitive Slave Bill. So she runs on up through Wilmington, Delaware. In fact, Harriet Tubman's main European financier, Thomas Garrett, is buried a few blocks from our school. When you come to the grand opening of the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy, I'm going to take you on a little Underground Railroad tour of Wilmington. Because, see, Delaware was the last slave state. You had to make it through Delaware to get into free Pennsylvania. And so Queen Mother Harriet Tubman spent a lot of time all around where FDMG Academy is. So she gets to Philadelphia and she meets William Still, who collected the largest depository of escaped slave narratives in history. And after she gets free, she goes back and gets all her brothers and siblings except one who was sold so far south, Harriet couldn't find him. Then she heard her mother and father was about to be sold south for helping the runaways. So Harriet Tubman comes to Wilmington, Delaware, gets with Thomas Garrett. He loans Harriet a horse and carriage, and this little black woman over here, about 5 feet and 100 pounds, soaking wet, takes this horse and carriage by herself into the slave territory of Maryland, throw her mother and father on the back, and ride out. And then after she freed her mother and father, they begged Queen Mother Harriet, don't go back no more because your slave master has a $50,000 bounty on your head. And Queen Mother Harriet said, Mommy and Daddy, don't worry about me because the Lord gave me this mission. And only the Lord can take it back. And she says, if I am captured or killed while I'm freeing African people, I will take that as a message from my Lord that I have done my duty and it's time to come on home. More than 30 trips back and forth. And then when she was done on the Underground Railroad, she gets a phone call from the War Department, South Carolina. Would you mind coming down to aid Abraham Lincoln in the Union Army by being a nurse, a spy, and a scout? So Harriet Tubman takes off to aid the war effort. And Harriet Tubman becomes the only woman in American history to lead troops into battle when she commandeered the Combahee River Raid. And in one day, the U.S. colored troops of the Civil War, under the direction of General Tubman, freed 750 slaves in a day. She's the only woman in the history of this country to lead troops into battle through the military. And guess what? She still wasn't done. Because she was not officially a soldier, they didn't pay Harriet Tubman no money. So she made her money by taking care of the soldiers when they got ill, because Harriet Tubman was an herbalist. She knew the herbs and the plants. And she would heal the sick soldiers through the herbs and the plants. And she'd make tea, make her own soup, and that's how she made her way. And then she goes back up to Auburn, New York. You would think she already done enough with the Underground Railroad. You would think she already done enough by aiding the war effort for free. She comes back up to Auburn, and guess what this little black woman does? Opens up a hospital for black people. A hospital! And then she opens up an old folks home for elderly Africans, because during slavery, when you could no longer work, they turn you over into the street to die. And if the hospital wasn't enough, if the old folks home wasn't enough, she turned around and opened up a farm to finance the hospital and the old folks home. And then she applied for a soldier's pension after all she did for the U.S. military struggle, and they turned her down. She finally got a military pension because her second husband, when he passed away, she got the widow's pension. But America never paid Harriet Tubman the debt they owed her for helping them win that Civil War. Don't you find it ironic and hypocritical that after not paying Harriet Tubman when she was alive, you would dare put her face on your money now? And then when she was old and gray, right before she passed on, March 10th, 1913, They sat Harriet Tubman down and they interviewed Queen Mother Araminta Ross. And they said, were you ever scared? No. Did you almost get captured? Plenty of times. But whenever I found myself in a situation that I thought was unmanageable, I would drop to my hands and knees, pray to Almighty God. And whenever I called on my Lord, he found a way for me out of the situation. But Queen Mother Harriet Tubman said, I had one regret though. One thing I regretted all them years on the Underground Railroad, all them years in the Civil War, all them years taking care of my elderly Africans. She said, I freed hundreds of slaves. I could have freed thousands more. Problem is, they didn't even know they were slaves. I give you her story because I want to know, how is it we as American Africans are a $2 trillion people? Harriet Tubman had no money and gave us a farm, a hospital, an elderly home. We $2 trillion and you ain't got an institution to call your own in your city. Nothing disturbs me more when I travel this country. Nothing disturbs me more when I travel this country than to see black people wasting all this money, not redirecting any of it to build any of the institutions we need. They turning in their grave. We just celebrated this man's birth, the good Reverend Dr. King. And you got black people trying to blame Dr. King for integration. Dr. King ain't had nothing to do with integration. Dr. King was dead before integration came. Dr. King gave you the right to vote, and he gave you the right not to be discriminated against in public accommodations. That's it. Show me the speech where Dr. King said, give up your black schools. Show me the speech where Dr. King said, give up your black hospitals. Show me the speech where Dr. King said, give up your black banks and supermarkets and communities. He never said that. In fact, he defended the right for us to have our own institutions. But you Negroes, let the baby talk, that's the ancestors. You Negroes. It was you who sold out Dr. King's dream by running away from your people, trying to disappear in a sea of whiteness.
Peace and Pan-Africanism, peace and Pan-Africanism. I just wanted to say thank you to all my brothers and sisters who came out last night in Sacramento, California. And thank you to all my brothers and sisters who came out tonight in Antioch, California. I completely, totally enjoyed all of you, the brothers, the sisters, the youth, the elders, the activists, the educators, the professionals, the business owners, the grassroots organizers, just everybody.